Woo! Sweaty day. It's Texas. So today let's start with go ahead and spin around to your music. So take your finger and swipe all the way around. We're going to actually work more on music and a little bit on the beginning of our left hand. So spin around. We'll turn the page. Page 6. So if you look at the top of page 6, you have, again, now we've shortened it to cello. You have a bass clef, 4/4, and you have these notes that are very familiar to you, I would assume right now, called whole notes. They have 4 counts, and if you look at every other measure, you're going to find notes that you recognize. This is your open A, open D, another open A, open D, the G string, and the C string. So every other note has a note that you've already learned. Then we're going to introduce some new notes. And I'm going to give you a hint. They will always be 4th finger. It may be on the A string, it may be on the C string, it may be on a different string, but it'll always be 4th finger. The reason why we're introducing 4th finger first, and if you want to go ahead and swipe your video around to me, take a minute if you haven't paused the video, set up your position. Left hand is super important. Obviously, as important as the bow hand, they have to work together. So I don't know if you'll have tapes on your cello or not, but if you do, what we're going to learn is 4th finger on each string. With the cello, if you think about when you drink a glass of water, you don't think too much about holding that glass of water, but we're going to pretend that there is a glass of water in our hand. All of your joints need to be round, including your thumb. So there won't be any of the thumb being flat on the back of the neck, and there's no pressure on the thumb either. All of the weight pulling that string into the fingerboard comes from your arm, relaxing down into the string, rather than you squeezing your hand to push those fingers down with your thumb and opposing your fingers. It's just this weight. Similar to how you hung on the bow, like this, excuse me, it'll be the same thing as you pull your arm back. I guess I'll have to cough here for a second. Ragweed is high right now. I'm not sick, but I guess here in my living room it wouldn't matter. But anyway, it's a rough time right now. So 4th finger, all of your fingers are going to support each other, and all of your fingers are going to have that relaxed, natural kind of space between them that comes about. If you have a smaller cello, your hand will be a little closer together, but if you have tapes, just follow your tape. You're going to go, and if you don't have tapes, there's a way to test, because 4th finger is 1 octave or 8 notes higher than the string below. So this is C, 4th finger on the G is also C. This is G, 4th finger on the D is also G, 8 notes higher, and D and D. When you put 4th finger down, all 4 fingers go down together. It's a unit. So you're going to go on that first line, you have an open A, then 4th finger D. Then open A, then 4th finger on the D string. Open D, 4th finger. Open D, 4th finger on the G. Open G, 4th finger on the G, and so on. This is an exercise to help your hand work as a unit and come down together. All joints rounded, what your work is on this, and your in orientation investigation part of this series is to see if you can get all your fingers to come down together, rounded joints. So I don't even know if I can get my little finger to lock. No locked joints. No locked joints like this. Everything is round and relaxed. If you put a ball in your hand or a glass in your hand, you'll see exactly what I mean. Your body does it naturally. We're going to learn a very relaxed, natural way to play. So let's get our bow, and let's try that first line. So tighten your bow. Should have been loose. Tighten your bow. Set the bow on the A string. Get your fingers set. They're going to hover a little bit above the string like a hovercraft. And check and make sure you're right in tune, or check and see if you're on that tape. Take your deep breath, relax, play A. 2, 3, 4, then D. 2, 3, 4, now open A. And we're going to go down now to a fourth finger on the D string. 2, 3, 4, now open D. And then hover your strings. 2, 3, 4, now open D. Everything relaxed. And now fourth finger on the G. 2, 3, now open G. 2, this is the next line. And now fourth finger on the G. Make sure everything's round, open G. And now C, fourth finger. And open C. And then fourth finger on C string again. So in this exercise, it's not so important that you know the names of those notes. I'm not worried about that this week. What I'm concerned about is that you focus. Hopefully your bow is relaxed enough that you don't have to think about your bow too much. You've done a few weeks of bow exercises on the open strings. This week we're going to focus on just going open string to fourth finger on all four strings. Now, interesting thing is you have a similar thing where when you change strings, you're going to lift your shoulder or your elbow just slightly. So on the A string, this plane of your wrist is flat. D string, the elbow raises slightly, but still flat. So you don't want to do this or this. Again, everything's flat and relaxed. So as you go from one string to the next, your elbow raises just ever so slightly to make sure that that flat plane is still there. This helps your muscles relax, helps your tendons be relaxed as well. And then you're just going to pull your hand in. If you want to play a little bit with your thumb, just hovering on the back, and see if you can push your fingers down into the fingerboard without your thumb. You don't want to get into the habit of squeezing up with your thumb or doing this to get the fingers to come down, because if you've done that, you won't be able to do vibrato as we get farther along. So make sure that this is just hanging onto the fingerboard nice and round. The one thing that I see most is that people will do this. So you want to make sure that your knuckles are parallel to that fingerboard and that these are round. So this knuckle doesn't collapse. These knuckles don't collapse. There's no tension in this hand at all. It's just like you're holding a ball in your hand, and then you're just letting the weight of your arm come into the fingerboard. So practice 4 spaces in line. Just, until you feel like you're ready to go on to Route 404. The Route 404 adds rhythm to those open strings and fourth finger, and then if you're, we'll try to do some kind of duet. I think we'll figure that out with the 360 videos. So have a great week, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time.